definitely going to need a lot of work on the mains and the rod journals, but we figured that. So just lift that guy right out, and we'll put it back over here on the cart. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna take the bearings out, and even though we're gonna change these, I like to put them in each one in a separate can so that we could go back and review and see if there's any trouble. That's our number 1. There's 2. I still got to get half out of the other guy, and this is number 3. They don't look like they're in terrible shape. We'll get those out after. Now, after you take your bearings out, there's going to be little pins in here that hold your bearing from rotating. I'm going to have Gary reset up and get close in on that, and I'll show you those guys coming out.
Go.
Okay. After you get your bearings out, like I say, you're going to have these little guys in here. Just put a magnet on them and wiggle them around. Don't lose these. That little guy right there holds your bearing from spinning around. And there's one in each station here. So there's 3 of them there. And there's one of them in your center bearing. I got to get the bearing out, but you see that guy right in there?
Down a little bit, Brian. There.
We'll pull the bearing shell out, and then we'll pull that out with a magnet. So there's going to be 4 of them. And there's another one.
Down a little bit.
Right in the back cap.
Yep.
And our rear main seal is in there. But we'll just disassemble these. But don't forget to save these guys, or don't lose them is what I'm saying. You're going to need those. So we're going to go after the ones in the caps now. Then we'll flip the motor back over, and we'll go after the camshaft and the lifters next. Okay, we're going after these keepers. We've got to compress the spring and get the keepers out. This is a tool I like to use. It's just a lever operated guy like that. Matt has come in with his own tool today, which is a crank style, and they both work okay. And on that first engine, I showed Matt how to get the springs compressed and the keepers out. And now we're going to see with his special tool that he brought with him today out of his toolbox, he's finally going to get to use it. And we'll see how he does on number 2 exhaust.
Go.
Okay. After you get your bearings out, like I say, you're going to have these little guys in here. Just put a magnet on them and wiggle them around. Don't lose these. That little guy right there holds your bearing from spinning around. And there's one in each station here. So there's 3 of them there. And there's one of them in your center bearing. I got to get the bearing out, but you see that guy right in there?
Down a little bit, Brian. There.
We'll pull the bearing shell out, and then we'll pull that out with a magnet. So there's going to be 4 of them. And there's another one.
Down a little bit.
Right in the back cap.
Yep.
And our rear main seal is in there. But we'll just disassemble these. But don't forget to save these guys, or don't lose them is what I'm saying. You're going to need those. So we're going to go after the ones in the caps now. Then we'll flip the motor back over, and we'll go after the camshaft and the lifters next. Okay, we're going after these keepers. We've got to compress the spring and get the keepers out. This is a tool I like to use. It's just a lever operated guy like that. Matt has come in with his own tool today, which is a crank style, and they both work okay. And on that first engine, I showed Matt how to get the springs compressed and the keepers out. And now we're going to see with his special tool that he brought with him today out of his toolbox, he's finally going to get to use it. And we'll see how he does on number 2 exhaust.
Go.
Okay, Matt's going in. He's going to compress the spring. And then they're kind of sticky in this engine, so we're going to have to bang down on the valve. And sometimes the keepers can get squirrely and get away from you. But sometimes everything works out good. And we keep a magnet in there to try and catch them. And you're up plenty high, Matt.
Alright.
So the valve obviously is a little sticky. We're going to tap it down. He's going to put his magnet in there and maybe catch them. Maybe they're going to come flying out. We don't know. You see Matt's worried about his tool. With my lever operated one, it's going to come out and whack him in the head. I can tell already. With my lever operated one, it sticks in there good. But Matt wants to use his own tool there, so let's watch him suffer a little bit. Sounds good, Matt. Pull those keepers out. Here comes one. There's one keeper. Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that.
Those are the two keepers. Now he's going to let that valve go. The spring. And that's how you get those guys out. And see now the valve is free. And we did this one already, and that's free. So we've got to get number 1 and number 4. I won't bore you with the details.
You want to show a close-up of what the keepers look like?
Can you get at those, Gary?
Come up a little bit with your hand. A little more.
Hang on. It's like a tapered... Am I there, Gary?
There you are.
It's like a tapered cone. It's in 2 halves, and it's got grooves in there, and that bites into the stem, and that's what keeps your valve. That goes up into the spring rotator there. When we get those out, I'll show you.
So there's only one way they can go in, basically.
There's only one way they can go in, the small side up,
Yeah.
and you can't put those in backwards. Well, you can do anything. You can really mangle a motor up, but if you got your head about you, they go in one way. When we put them back in, we'll compress the spring, put these around each side of the valve, and then let the spring go, and they'll be captured in there, and they can never come out. Okay, Matt pulled the first exhaust spring out, and if you notice on this spring, it has tight coils on the top, and it's different on the bottom. The tight coils always go up. Do not put your spring in like this. That's the wrong way. Tight coils always go up. This is your rotator. It does exactly what it says. It rotates. And that's what your keepers, in that tapered area, your keepers fit in there. So, tight coils always go up. If your rotators are bad or they're not spinning freely, like they should, replace them. I always change valve springs. I don't reuse the originals. That always gets changed. But I will take this and I'll put it with the number 1 exhaust valve. So in case I want to go back and look at it and see what the engine was doing, I have it for later use. Now Matt's going to take out 2, 3, and 4. And just get in there with a screwdriver and kind of pry it out. And we'll show you how it goes as it happens. Zoom in on him, Gary. That's good. Right behind you. Okay, here's number 2. Okay, Matt is making it happen. All our springs are out. We are going to turn the block sideways and extract that cam next. Okay, I came in here and I physically pulled all our lifters up. And now I'm just going to, this is a 7/16 14 bolt. It just helps me handle the cam a little better. And be as gentle as you can. And there's the cam. There's a cam bearing in there. And on these engines, it's kind of weird. It's not like a lot of other engines that have cam bearings on all the stations. You have one cam bearing right on this bearing. This one, in the rear don't have any bearings. They're just running the cast iron block. Don't be alarmed. Don't try and put a bearing in there. Don't be worried that somebody took them out. You have one cam bearing on these engines and that's it. Otherwise it just kind of floats into cast iron, and it works fine. It's been working like that for many years. It doesn't screw up the cam or the block or anything, but just keep that in mind. You're only going to have one cam bearing. Now we're going to push these lifters through. We're going to grab them from the other side. I'll move the stand and I'll show you that, and then we're going to put these back in order where they go, so when we put them back in the block, the same lifter is riding on the same lobe, and that's just a good way to do things. So let me put the cam down, reset the block, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're going to pull the tappets out now. First guy here, can you see that guy wiggling, Gary?
Yep.
Okay, that is exhaust number 1. You got intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, and exhaust. So, Matt is going to pull these out and hand them to me, and I'm going to put them in a can so we know exactly which one is which, and we'll put them back the same way. Sing it out, Matt.
Alright, so here's number 1, exhaust. Number 1, intake. Number 2, intake. Number 2, exhaust. Number 3, exhaust. Number 3, intake. Number 4, intake. Number 4, exhaust.
Okay, that's the layout of the tappets.
You want to show the viewers what a tappet looks like? Just
Hang in there. Here comes an exhaust. Let me know where you're good.
yeah, that's good.
This is like a lifter in a modern car, except it's not a hydraulic lifter. You have to manually adjust your valves. This is where you do it on the exhaust. You twist that there, and this is what you call a solid lifter because there's no hydraulic oil pressure in there. And usually they don't go too bad unless you have dirty oil or a mess in there. So that's what an exhaust looks like, and you adjust the exhaust through the side valve cover. And if it was an L head, you'd adjust them all on the side valve cover. This is an intake, and this has a push rod, and you make your adjustment on the top. You go in under the top valve cover and you adjust your clearance on this one, your valve clearance up top. But I'll show you all that stuff when we get to it. But that's an intake tappet, and you can see where it accepts a push rod.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, Matt, we're flipping it.
Is that it? You want to keep filming?
No. Okay, here is just a little tool I turned up. It's getting beat up already. It's just mild steel. Got a little guide here to get in the center of the valve guide, and then the area there is getting a little beat up. But you're going to drive these guides down and out of the block. They've been in here for 60 years or so, so they're going to be tough. The top of them will probably break on you. Wear safety glasses, and you just go to each valve with an okay size hammer like this. I knocked out number 4 just now. They are very sticky in there. We're changing these, so we're not really concerned about breaking them or anything like that. But it does take quite a bit of force to knock it through there. And I'm going to give Matt the hammer. And he had trouble with these on the other one. Let's see if he can knock this one out. It does take quite a bit of force, so let's see how he does. Like you mean it, Matt. Like you mean it. Okay, man, it's going nowhere fast. Let me take a look at the tool. Break a little bit, no big deal. Second hit. Takes a lot of force. Don't worry about it. You're not going to ruin your block or anything. Matt just doesn't have the ass behind him to knock him out. We're going to let him try the next one and see what's what. If I got to rescue him on this one, I will. Go for it, Matt.
Alright, let's try this one.
Is it moving at all?
Not really.
I'm going to have to rescue you, Matt. I'm coming in. Look at Matt. His arm's giving up. He's all bent out of shape. Let's see if we can knock this one out. Damn shame with these young kids, isn't it? We're gonna let him make an ass of himself on number 1 too. Give it hell, Matt. I'll come and rescue you. Sometimes you got to do this. Before he busts his hands, let me come and say.
Hold on.
Let me come and
No,
rescue.
we're moving. We're
Okay,
moving.
feels like
He's
he's moving. Let's see what's going on. I'm nervous for him. He's gonna break his hands. Let's see what he does. Come on, Matt. Bring it home. Bring it home. It's hard to watch, I know, but just focus in on him. It's hard to watch. Oh, we're gonna lose a finger. Come, easy, Matt. Jesus. All right, let me get it.
Alright, take over.
Look at that. You see what I mean about these young kids? Yeah, it's a good thing he's hanging around here. Whoa, we got a blinking light on us now. What's happening, Gary?
Battery's going dead on.
Battery's going dead on our lighting. That's how you get the valve guides out.
Alright.
Don't let them frighten you. Just gotta bang them out of there. There's no easy way. That's how you get the valve guides out. That's pretty much a stripped down block. We still gotta pull out the cam bearing. Gotta get all our brass out of here. We gotta open up the oil gallery so when it gets hot tanked, we'll clean all that up. But we're gonna end this one here today. And I guess when I get a little further cleaned up and I pick somebody that's going to do some of the machine work, I still don't have anybody that's going to let me film just yet, but I'm working on it. So I hope this helps you guys tear down your motors, and I'll be back with you soon and show you where we're going with the rebuild. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.